Hi, parents and students of Mr. Beck at Pleasant Grove Junior High School. This is my little video to talk to parents about orchestra this year and the unique things that are happening in our situation with COVID. I have here on the screen a copy of the first page of a packet that each of your students should have. The packet is rather large and includes a whole bunch of things. Practice records where they can keep track of the time that they practice, flashcards to help them, especially if they're beginners, with note naming. It's got rhythm practice sheets that are called sets. It's got finger agility exercises that are called Schreidic exercises. The packet has all of the scales for all of the levels for all of the instruments. It has a little paper about shifting. It has the fingering board, fingering chart test that we do each year, and it has the theory test. It even has some papers for if I'm gone and there was a substitute, that kids would have a worksheet that would go along with the videos. So that packet is the kind of the big everything of the whole year. Unlike other years in orchestra, we are not putting scores into the Skyward grade program and having categories of assignments and practice at home and concerts and so forth. Things are still a bit up in the air, and with the potential that students could be quarantined at home, I really thought hard about how to turn orchestra into a little bit more of an independent study. So the paper you see on your screen right here, and hopefully there's my cursor, you can see that there is a whole bunch of stuff plastered on this paper. It's actually the orchestra class all 3 years crammed into one piece of paper. So I kind of want to go through each of those areas and have you think about and maybe even look through this with your student and see where they are and what they're doing. Talk about each area. This first section over here that's in the light blue is called the note naming area. And you can see that I've got a different expectation for each level. The truth is that I have automatically created challenges that are available on Canvas that the kids have been shown several times that let them go and take a 1-minute note naming challenge. And so here for the beginning orchestra, they go to that note naming challenge, and there's a link for a challenge called the first 5. It's their first 5 notes they've ever learned. And we're trying to get to 30 notes per minute. And so the kids know that there's a way to, when they complete their challenge and they get 30 notes a minute above 90% correct, that they can sign the report and send that to me, and they basically come to this paper and just cross off that they have accomplished that first 5 note naming level. If your child was in intermediate, they're trying to get 40 notes a minute, and there's just one challenge for them to accomplish, and if they're in advanced, there's also one challenge for them to accomplish. So the kids just kind of work through this at their own pace with all of the tools that are available on Canvas. And when they've accomplished their note naming for the year, I really love it if they keep it up like once a week and just do a little bit of it. But really their goal is to just get this passed off, crossed off. Down below, this is a exercise for fingers, agility, that's called Schreidic exercises. And each level has a different number of these exercises that I'd like them to accomplish, and each also has a different speed to play each of those exercises. So as they do each of the 25 exercises, though beginners were just aiming to get the first 5 and intermediate the first 10, they will, when they reach and play that speed, just cross off that they have done it. Each of these numbers represents a 1-line exercise. That's not something they have to turn into me. They just kind of do that on their own, and as they cross them off and I work with them each term, then we're going to see their progress. This next one, called Set Rhythms, is a group of 20 pages of rhythm exercises that Mr. Mott and I created a few years back. The kids only have to do is go through each of the pages and clap or play the rhythms for set 1. That's very easy. Set 1 is accomplishable by every level of student. And when they have done all of those 8 lines of rhythms and they feel like they understand the material, they just come in and cross off that set. And they do set 2 and cross that off, set 3 and cross that off. You can see that set 4 and 7 and 10 and 15 and 17 and 20 are bolded. That's because they are supposed to send me a video or come in before school and perform a couple of lines of those sets to demonstrate that they have proficiency in those areas. You can see here there's a scales category, and each level has an expectation of doing 3 scales over the course of the year at different range of notes. But in the older classes, they actually get to pick the scales they work on. In beginning orchestra, I have 3 chosen for them. Each year we do a couple of theory tests. You can see there's 2 tests for every level. There are videos on Canvas that will teach them all the information they need to know for these tests. And so if they go to Canvas and go to Pages and go to Theory Tests, they can find the videos and watch them, and then they complete the tests and bring them to me or send them to me, and that's all they have to do for that. I've laid out in the beginning orchestra and the intermediate orchestra here under book music all of the units of their exercises, and here is the intermediate and the beginning. And so as the kids accomplish those numbers, I have told them that there's a certain song for them to record and send to me, and they do that through Canvas, or they can send me a video through Google Drive. And as they do it, they just cross off that they've accomplished that unit. Right here in week 4, 4.5, we've got the beginners pretty much up through about unit 4 is where we're working right now. Intermediate is still trying to finish unit 1, and we've started unit 2. And if they're in advanced or elite, then every song that I give them this year has been put into a set of chunks, so 3 or 4 parts. And as they send me a video and get feedback on that video and then improve and pass off that chunk, they just get to mark off each of these numbers for how many chunks they accomplish. And almost done here. On the right hand side, right where it's a light blue and says practice, the kids are supposed to mark their practice in 100-minute chunks. So as they fill out their practice record and accumulate minutes, every 100 minutes they just cross off another number, and it should be easy at the end of each term to look at this page and for me to sit down with each student and go over the things they've accomplished and consider the work they've put in, both in time and in accomplishment. And instead of me having a whole bunch of scores that accumulate to a grade, I would actually have the plan this year to have a conversation with each of the students and have us talk about the grade they feel they've earned. And then if I feel like that's a reasonable grade for them to have, then we just will put that into Skyward and on we go. In the event that a student maybe has a rough start and doesn't get as far as they want to in term 1, but they get rolling by term 2, we can always go back and change the term 1 grade as we see them accomplish the things that are on this page. So this is totally different than previous years, but if the students are able to accomplish these things, it would be the same as if we were in school full-time all the time, and they would learn just as much as we have in the past, maybe even more. So I'm pretty excited about it. Whether they send me videos through email and link them to a Google Drive, or whether they use Canvas, the video, or whether they do it in person, all of those are ways for them to pass things off. One last thing about this paper. On the top right, I have kind of a recommended practice method. It isn't something that students have to do this exact way, but it is a really good guide for you to help them plan or establish a habit of practice. The amount of practice we're looking for in general is 20 minutes a day, 5 days a week for the beginning class, 25 minutes a day for 5 days a week for the intermediate class, and 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week for the advanced classes. So hopefully this gives you an idea as to why and how the kids are in their grades and why you don't see any grades in Skyward at this point and won't until near the end of the term. I just want you to know that as we get there and try this for the first time, it'll be wonderful to kind of coordinate and communicate with you and with them and kind of establish our goals and what we're trying to accomplish and to move ahead. So hopefully that helps you a lot, and have a fantastic virtual parent-teacher conference. Always, you can email me at davidbeck@alpinedistrict.org. Thanks so much.